Rohit, you scaled big trading desk before co-founding ArthAlpha. What drove you to build your own quant-driven firm after years of work experience at global hedge funds?
So I've always wanted to build my own business. This was, I think, third year of college where I got excited, or got introduced to the world of startups.
Okay.
I was always intrigued about it, but I didn't really know what I wanted to build. My first job was, pretty accidental. Didn't really decide to end up in quant space. But when I did, I realized this is something I really love and decided this is the direction which I should take and try to build something in. Uh, that being said, there was another thing at the back of my head, which was there is no global quant firm out of India. So the names that you would know, Citadel, Ventec, Two Sigma, all of them are global firms, US based firms. So that thought was always there. That let's build something global, something that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Citadel and Ventec, hopefully one day. And most importantly, building my own firm does give me autonomy to work on interesting problems, tackle this in my own way. Look at it more like a research problem, assemble a team, and solve it in the way I want. So that kind of flexibility, lets you enjoy your work more.
Okay. So, like the hook was building a global platform or like independently working on a project?
It was always to build my own thing. So it was, that drive was always there. It just initially I did not know what I'll build. Once I got into the space, I realized this is something I'm good at, and there's a huge opportunity. At the same time, I think there is a need as well. We need a firm that we Indians can call okay. This firm is from India for the world.
For the work. Okay. So you have used ML and alternative data extensively for trading strategies. How is AI truly changing the way trading desk operated compared to 5 to 10 years ago?
The reliance on data has increased drastically. Now, the biggest cost for most of the firms, hedge funds, is often data. Second is talent.
Okay.
And so you need talent to process and drive meaningful insights out of that data. And for that, often you use a lot of machine learning and AI. That's not just it. People have found, I know a lot of firms, especially globally, have found interesting ways to utilize ML and AI to improve the investment process in different ways, be it cleaning out signal, removing noise, finding better ways to combine the signals, risk management, all of it throughout the process. The use cases are not pretty straightforward. When you think you have a million images, you train it and you decide if an image is a cat or a dog, right? It's a prediction problem. I'm not saying it's straightforward, but it's easier than predicting market because if I ask you today, predict if it's a dog or cat, you can give a conclusive answer. But if I ask someone tomorrow, is market gonna go up or down? How
You
many people
can't.
are gonna? Yeah, yeah. So inherently difficult problem. The inherent distribution of the market is pretty relatively static, but not static, but consistent. But predicting the direction of market given that distribution is pretty hard problem, and that is why people often end up using machine learning now. So yeah, I mean the use cases, people are still figuring out how to apply it. We have also found some interesting applications, and it has improved our performance drastically. So I think
Okay.
it's going to continue as well.
So this recent AI development, right, has that helped in building your tools or platforms faster and intelligent?
So there are two components to AI today. One is the underlying technology. So the introduction of transformers back in 2017. So we do use transformers and in different ways. But when people think AI today, they think of LLM or large language models or voice synthesis. A lot of that, which is not directly applicable. Yes, it does help. For some parts, let's say where you are processing text, trying to understand sentiment, a lot of unstructured data. It does help, but it's just a very small part of it.
Okay.
The actual AI that we end up using is the machine learning part, which is your traditional ML and also the latest developments over the last decade.
Okay. So traditional ML is still valid. No? It's valid for your industry.
See, I mean, a lot of people think that non-linear methods will magically give you results. Still, for us, in 70-80% of the cases, linear models give better results. There are only cases where we apply non-linear model where we understand why this needs to be applied. There is a specific use or something that with linear models we are not able to achieve, right? Only then we get there. Because with the limited amount of data we have, you often actually end up overfitting with that, and the results don't really generalize in outer sample.
This is important for our viewers and students to understand, right? Because otherwise they feel okay with the invent of new AI models and largely think of LLM only, right? Everything is automated, or the requirement of old ML techniques or traditional ML techniques, I should say, is not required. But that is not the case, right? At least
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
definitely.
uh, quant industries, quant trading platforms. Okay. So, what do you look for when hiring quants, professional or technologists or traders?
The first is always raw talent, and it there are a lot of indicators, right? Interview is one where you can ask 10 questions, but it's also what they have done before. Sometime a J rank or where they studied, what they studied. I don't give too much weight on CGPA, but the point is, think of it like this: if you're in college, 4 years, uh, all you did was study. You did not do anything. You did not learn anything outside of it, and yet you were not able to manage a good CGPA. That speaks volume, on your capability. But if you did not study at all, did 20 things, learn 20 other things, and still managed a pretty decent CGPA, not very high, that speaks volume. So there are a lot of indicators of raw talent, if the person is good or not, what their strength is. So one thing I've learned is most people don't really know what their strength is, and I have felt, maybe I'm wrong, that I'm good at identifying what a person is good at very early on. In initial, conversations only, I can figure out what they are good at, what they are not. So then that allows me to figure out if they will be fit for the team, if what their raw skill or core skill is, right? Would that fit in? They might not think about it. They might not realize that is their core strength. But because eventually that is what's going to come out. So that is one. Second, what matters a lot to me is work ethic, because even if you are just above average, if you have the right work ethic and you're willing to put in the hours and just put your head down and work, you're more likely to succeed than a person who is super skilled but just doesn't have the work ethic. So
Yeah,
that matters.
hard work is still important.
Yes. And so hard work is probably often misunderstood. A lot of people do hard work, but even a laborer is doing hard work, right? So
Yes, yes.
smart work and with the right work ethic, you're not doing it because just to show people that I'm putting in effort, or just for the sake of it. You are doing it because it needs to be done, right? So, or because you enjoy it and there is this need sometimes you'll need to work on things that are not very interesting but are in the interest of the company, or they need to be done. So you do it with equal passion, not because this work is boring, I won't, okay, I'll just do it because it needs to be. No, because
Eh,
you understand the importance of it, so you do it. And that is very important to succeed, because in any job, right, job is meant to be repetitive. I remember a professor of mine, he said once, we asked him, he was in software engineering. So I said, if you go get a job, you'll make so much more. So he said, it's called compensation for a reason. And that line stuck with me, that, in the job, you are paid compensation for your time and effort, right? So in the end, the job is supposed to be repetitive. Sure, there'll be interesting bits, but there'll always you work, there are works you do for yourself and there are things you do because, it's the need of the company, or because, you're getting paid for it. Even for us, even as a founder, I probably work 10, 20% of the time, which truly excites me. 80% of time is, I know
is
it needs to be done.
yeah.
To
Okay.
keep the lights on so that I can do that 20%, right? And the last is alignment. So, and it's an okay thing because everyone looks for different things. Matlab, what they're looking for in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years, right? So it's very important for me to make sure they are aligned with company's objective. There's nothing right or wrong with that. There might be an extraordinary candidate. They're just not aligned in the way that they might want something from life or from this role, which we cannot offer them. And then we do not want to waste their time, because they'll come in 6 months later, 1 year later. Some people think, okay, 1 year, we can make use of them, get, output. And if they leave, they leave. No, I don't want that. I want, if you come in, you should at least come 3 to 5 year horizon. It's okay if you leave. But the
And how
point
do
is,
you judge that the person will stay with you for 2 to 3 years minimum? Because I understand, right? We as a founder, right, do a lot of things, right? We train them, we coach them, right? We make them owners, right, so that they take their responsibilities. And we help them understand the definition of hard work and smart work. Otherwise, people take smart work is like just doing things shortcut, right? But yes, I understand a lot of efforts from our side go right. But how you like make sure and understand that this person is going to stay with you for longer period, as you mentioned, 3 years?
It's very simple, to be honest. You figure out what they truly want in terms of work, in terms of say compensation, in terms of culture, in terms of work environment. What do they want to achieve in 3 to 5 years? What is their broader career goal objective? What do they care about? And if you can fulfill all of them, or you think you can, yeah, of course things change, something might go wrong. But if you think you have this is something you can fulfill in your organization, then there is a high chance they'll stay. Because in the end, those are the things they will reevaluate 6 months later, 1 year later, 1.5 years later, that am I getting this? And when they look back, okay, I have all of this, then they have no reasons to leave. Someone might come and offer 2x, right? But when you have, it's like if you are married, right? And I don't know, think of the hottest actress you can think of. She comes along and says, come marry me. If you're happy in a relationship, you have what you always wanted, you have all of that, and you don't really care for it, right? Because that one thing is not enough, right? So, they will only leave if they're unhappy or they're not getting what they want. I'm sure exceptions would exist, but in
Yes.
most scenarios, that way.
Okay, got it. So what are your expectations when hiring freshers versus the experienced people?
So there are some roles I prefer to hire freshers only. That is generally research, because experienced people come with their own baggage. They have a set way of working, and you can't change that. So unless you are okay with how they work and it aligns with what you're looking for, it's never gonna work. You can't
Okay.
change it. It becomes very hard. So freshers are more amenable, and you can, it's difficult to hire as well. You don't know who's gonna work. That is where your skill comes in. So can you mold them and can you teach them, and are they right? But for some roles, you need experienced people. So if you're looking for traders or portfolio managers, you need more experience, because people who have traded market, they understand the nuances. Because however sharp a young person is, they'll have to go through the cycle to learn all of it.
Yes,
So
market
it's a
cycles.
function. Yes, it's a function of the role, and totally depends. What we're hiring for.
So each role demands the kind of audience you need to hire. Okay. So what are the early red flags when you hire people which are like concern for you?
Short-term thinking, like there are a lot of people who are optimizing too much for the short term.
Yeah.
They just don't know what they want in the long term, and they're not even willing to listen. Okay, this might work. They're like, this, they're optimizing. Then I know, okay, they won't see the broader good they can get, in 3 years or 5 years, then they're not the right fit in the first place. Then rigidity, some people are just rigid, this is what I want, this is what I want. Because honestly, even today, I don't necessarily know what I want, right? So I'm flexible on that. I broadly know, I want good work, I want a good team. So I'm making sure I'm building a good team where there's a culture is good, people enjoy working here, because these are things I want. But I also don't know everything I want. But some people just think they know what they want. And years later, and I especially hate people who ask for advice and do not care for it. Well, you should only ask for it if you are going to listen to it. And, I'm not saying you have to follow it. So that is one. Then there are some people who are over reliant on things they have learned. Maybe in the last org or last few years, they think they are good because of what they know. The reality of this industry is, it just goes away. If you don't know how to adapt yourself, what was working 2 years back stops working. If you don't know how to adapt yourself, it's not going to work. And that's something that's very important to me, that you should have an open mind, willingness to learn. If that's not there, it's difficult.
If I have to ask you two green flags.
Yeah, same thing, willingness to learn. Then second is, that doggedness. I know we can talk in terms of skills as well, but if you talk about, character, that willingness to learn and the doggedness, that be persistent, not in an annoying way. Like there is a good way to be persistent, there's a bad way. One is, just messaging everyone in the form that I want this job, I want this job. Why won't you hire me? No. But if you think, you could really do something good, maybe drop a message, do something that shows your alignment and interest, right? Something interesting, right? Maybe you did not pass the bar, but impress me, and then I'll give you a chance. I'm always rooting for the underdogs. So I always want to give people a chance, because they are the people who will, prove, because they have something to prove, and they will prove, that you are right in hiding them. But you can't just go about, that, I have learned this one thing and this is why I'm great. No, even after this much experience, I have thousand things to learn. And every day Market keeps proving
Things are
that you are
changing
wrong.
as you have to keep learning.
Yeah, and market keeps you humble.
Yes, that is the beauty of market. Okay, so you have worked for multinational firms, right? Global institutes. What lessons from these global firms helped you shape Earth, Earth Alpha's culture and strategies today?
Yeah, hire smart, dedicated, sincere people with good work ethic and make sure there is alignment.
Okay.
As if you just hire good, smart people with work ethic and make sure they are aligned to company's objective. That is, see, it's a very difficult problem. It's easier said than done. Um, as firms become big, right, it becomes very hard to align everyone because teams might have their own optimization objectives. Then within the team, people are optimizing for themselves, and before you know, everyone is optimizing for themselves, which is not truly aligned to company. If you can just solve this problem, right? So for me, it's think of like I'm solving market optimization. Then this is an optimization problem I have to solve. Uh, we have just 10, 12, 12 people right now, but when we have say 100 people, how do I make sure everyone is aligned to company, right? So that if company does better, everyone makes money, does better, right? The moment you ensure that, right, and you have a bunch of smart people, they will, they are just like me, right? But they are just working with me, right, to help us achieve a common goal. 10 of them can help you achieve all of that. 50 of you can definitely help you achieve. The problem happens when you're not able to ensure alignment. So I think that's all. That's the only thing, unless you are doing some rocket science, something that has not rediscovering the wheel, right? Something that has not been done at all. Some discovering a new, matter. In that case, just hiring smart people and making sure they all, can rally towards a common goal. That's enough, I think, to succeed.
Yeah, and as you grow, number of people grow, the processes comes in, right? And process then help us understand, okay, how things will be done. Uh,
But
okay,
processes create challenges as well, right?
but
Processes create politics.
as hundreds of people join you, then how you will make sure that you meet everyone, you align everyone's
Problem.
thought.
That,
This is where
that's
the
the problem.
learning from your multinational comes in, right? That processes are also required. Is it
No,
not?
no. I'll tell you two examples. 3, 4 years or 5 years back, there was an incident in I think Delta Airlines where a passenger was pulled out of the plane because the airline was pulled. There was a backlash, and the CEO came and said, we just followed procedure. This is how it's done. He
That
refused
should
to.
not be blindly, right? Situational
No, no,
analysis is required.
no. But that's the point, right? Yeah, or lower level person, right? How do they make a decision? Executive decision. They can't. They have this process. They are overboard. Flight is overbooked. Someone needs to go out. They are not going out. Flight needs to go out because it has to go there and the next place. How do so similar time? After a few months after that, Jeff Bezos in one of the management meetings said this: to achieve a goal, we often set processes, and but after a point, we forget about the goal itself, and we are too consumed with the process because we think this process will help us achieve this, and we get too attached and stuck to the process, and that is where the problem comes because we should never lose sight of the overall goal, what the goal is. Process is just to help you drive towards that direction. If you get too attached to the process and forget about the goal, then challenges are bound to happen.
So that is like process has to be dynamic. It can't be rigid that okay, I have made the rule and everybody has to follow.
Or at any time, if you are doing something with the process, it should be with the what was the objective in the first place, right? To do this, you should not lose sight of
Lose sight of
scope.
that.
uh,
Yeah. Okay. So for students and professionals aiming to break into quant finance or ML-driven trading strategies, right? What specific technical or soft skills you want them to focus on?
One is mathematics. They should definitely be good at mathematics. So specifically probability, statistics, and linear algebra. These three things are very important. They should be good at coding. Now, lately, of course, with coding with AI tools is very different. So as long as you have understanding of how to go about it, that works. You don't need to be extraordinary, but that still creates an edge. Third is quantitative thinking. Fourth is visualization and intuition. So if you are able, not everyone is gifted with that, but you can learn. If I give you a problem, right, you can solve it two ways. You can get down and do it fully mathematically, or you can just visualize. The challenge is when you're looking at applications in any field, especially quantitative field, then visualization helps you understand what can actually even be applied here. Then you can go back to your mathematics and actually solve it. But you can't just randomly start writing, okay, we'll start with this piece of,
That will not happen.
equation. It
First, you have
doesn't
to
happen.
visualize, then you start building it, right?
Yes. So you start from there, okay, uh, because this is a problem, you visualize it. If we could do something like this, then it could happen. Now, because you understand mathematics enough, this can be done, because this can be achieved using linear algebra, and this, so now we can actually achieve it, and then you do it.
Got you. So where do you see the biggest career opportunities over the next 5 years?
Um, See, I think this is my view. Last 20-30 years have been okay. Let's take a step back, right? If you look back 4 or 5 decades, right? uh, the value of someone being good at a language was very much like being good at English. They were valued a lot, right? As Google came in, search engines, it became easier. Everyone could search for the right word. They could write decent. Then for last 2 decades, programmers were all the rage for the 3 decades. Especially even if you knew one thing, right? If you knew just how to host on AWS or be good at Java, that was
You
enough.
were valuable.
You're very valuable. You could command a great salary. But today that changes, because engineering teams, you can't just be expected to be great at Java, because 80% of your 90% of your code can be done by Claude, right? So the skill that's going to matter more is your ability to learn new skills fast. So again, how can you do that? By having strong fundamentals. So last 5 years, people who did not even have strong fundamentals, but they managed to learn a language and pick it up. That was enough. You could make a good salary, have a good, lifestyle, livelihood. But that's not going to work, because if you don't, your fundamentals are not clear, you don't understand the nuances of it, then you won't be able to pick something up very quickly. So value today is, over the next 5 years, is going to be, can you pick some new skill very quickly, be it a new language, something different, even in terms of, even advanced, doing good in AI, if you don't have good fundamental mathematical understanding, you'll always be stuck. You can learn one thing. Okay, I learned you to use PyTorch. What after that? Something changed, new library came in, or some advancement happened. You want to
You
be
have
able to adapt to it, because you just don't know why it is working. You just learned few things that work, and we're just repeating that. But that GPT or Claude can do for you. So what value do you bring? So first value of first principles will increase, and second is adaptability. That if you can learn your skills quickly, adapt to it, and with the tools you can actually anyway execute very quickly. So that value goes up.
okay. Yeah, completely agree with you. So a lot of articles and people are saying that journalists are more valuable today than a
True,
specialist. So
true,
what is
very true.
your
Okay, again, so even if you look at development or programming, right? Any advancement is done by 0.01% of the people, or 0.1% of the people. They
yes?
build something new. Everyone else is just finding documentation, API, and implementing it, or replicating it, or adapting it to situation. They're not making breakthroughs. So value of those specialists. So if either you are in that 0.1%, right? Even in literature, right? Earlier, journalists had a lot of value, but that went away, right? They're still 0.1% of them are valued a lot, right, for their thought and the way they write. But that's the same thing that's going to happen here. That zero point 0.1 and 1% will be valued that much. Next 5% enough, but 95% no. You'll be only valued for, if you are a journalist enough, then yes. Otherwise, your value is, you have been, I don't know, it just commoditized.
Okay. So if you had to share one mindset that's been critical for thriving in hedge fund, proprietary trading, and now as a founder, what would it be?
It's a longevity game. This is, I think, 2019. I was talking to a very senior and successful portfolio manager, I was talking to him, your thoughts. He said, that's what. He said there are two types of PMs. One, who hope to make a lot of money in 1 year, 1 or 2 years, and then retire. It's a luck game. It can happen to you, it cannot happen to you. The alternate is longevity game. And in all terms, be it is upskilling yourself. So you have to continuously upskill, so that strategies even in terms of your work, you are latest in what's happening, even in terms of perseverance, even in terms of market, right? When you are trading, making sure risk management becomes more important. If you are in the market long enough, you will make money. If you have a good strategy, you are good. But there will be some incidents where you could end up loss a lot of money. If you just make sure you don't lose that, right, then in the long term you will make money for your clients, for yourself, even for the company itself, right? If you're building a company, your thesis is right, you have a good idea, everything is, you have a great team. It's about time. If you just make sure they are, that you don't do something stupid and lose all that money, or lose your team, as long as you can just persist, right? That automatically, in most cases, see, of course it's not going to apply on everything. There are times where urgency matters, But in general, especially in this field, especially for a long career, right, to be successful, both as a founder or as a portfolio manager or as a trader or a researcher, that longevity matters. The thinking of it. That think in terms, ki don't think ki what I'm gonna make in next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, how I can maximize this. No. If you can think how can maximize over next 3 to 5 years, that thinking itself will, make sure you are successful. As long as you are capable enough, of course.
I agree. I agree. So, thank you for being with us in this podcast. I think this helped our viewer, or this will help our viewers to understand how important is to reskill, right? And at the same time, have a long-term view and not a very short-term view. Long-term view will always pay, and this is what I think my audience will get to understand uh, from your views and your understanding.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you, Rohit, once again.
Have a good day. Bye.
Same to you. Thank you.